Here, but necessary nonetheless. Appreciate your indulgence. We are now again to other considerations on our agenda I-1, and we have a couple of additions to section I, and we will as we move forward. So I-1 is the Board of Ethics recommendation. Okay, we can do that. In your packet, this is item I-1. So again, I guess we're trying to start this off with your comments and begin with
Sure, Mayor and Council, I'll be glad to provide in for the audience a little bit of background and then a discussion about tonight. Since February, there have been 4 ethics complaints filed against city council members. As outlined in our municipal code, council is to appoint 3-member boards to review and make recommendations for each of the complaints. Council did opt to wait until all 4 complaints had been reviewed prior to taking any action. Just a review of the 4 ethics complaints. Of the 4 ethics complaints filed, complaints number 3 and number 4 were withdrawn. Ethics boards number 1 and 2 submitted their written findings of fact, conclusions, and recommendations to the council. At the September 6th meeting, regular city council meeting, council voted 5-0 to accept the recommendation of board number 2 regarding the complaint against Councilmember Gase and Deputy Mayor Kidd. Council was unable to reach consensus on any action regarding the recommendation of Board 1 concerning the complaint against Deputy Mayor Kidd. There were, at that time, 5 separate motions that either failed or died from a lack of a second. After much discussion, council did agree to table the matter for a month, and that's where we're at tonight. It's about a month from the time the council asked to be tabled. So council must now determine what action, if any, it will take regarding the disposition of the complaint. And with that, it is now open for council discussion.
Okay. Recognize any of you who wishes to start us off in this.
Because I really urge you all to work on this one, because we've got to get this one moving forward. We've got to get it out of our lap. It's something that the public is waiting for us to address, and we really need to address it. One of the things that I know that hung us up the last time was the fact that I think some of us couldn't agree on the language of what, if there was going to be an admonishment, what that might be. So I think what we need to do is, if we could split that, say yes or no on the admonishment, and then maybe about what the admonishment is going to be. I think it would move us further, further forward. So with that said, I mean, we have a committee that really worked hard. They looked at all the evidence. They found evidence. They felt that there was a finding, and their recommendation is oral admonishment. And I think that in respect to all their work, in respect to the town, to make sure that justice is served, I think we need to follow the committee's recommendation.
When you say committee, are you referring back to
the ethics
committee?
Right. Yeah, I mean, we selected these folks because they were going to be, because of their background, because of their high standing, and we knew they would be impartial. And so this is not about anybody being mad at anybody or anybody trying to take a pound of flesh from anybody. This is just about following what the committee said, that there was a finding. And so because there was a finding, this is their recommendation. And their recommendation is admonishment, and I urge the council to go ahead and say, yes, let's first decide whether we are gonna admonish or not, and then exactly what the statement is gonna be of admonishment.
I think that's wise counsel, actually. It might expedite this matter and help us to resolve it more quickly than not. We could gain some consensus at the beginning here. If we need to acknowledge this decision in some way, I think that's well stated. Any comments to Sissy before I try to gain some consensus here? So maybe just poll the council and we can start. Sissy, with you, we have you presented to us the question, are we willing, do we want to support the recommendation of the panel, ethics panel, to provide an oral admonishment? I will make a note before I go further that I'm referring to page I-11 in your package, if you have it there, that under the section 2.78.080, and we are asked to, if we accept an admonishment, we should proceed with an admonishment. It shall be a verbal statement approved by the council and made to the individual by myself. So, Sissy,
I wonder if we should have motion for this, so that way we have a definite statement. So
I think we could do it that way.
Yeah, so I will move that we follow the ethics board's recommendation that we orally admonish Deputy Mayor Kidd. So I need a second, guys. So we really need a second to move forward. We really need to move this forward. It certainly does. So, all right, I guess I will cede the floor.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I would vote for option 4 on I-11, removal of Deputy Mayor Kidd as our city's deputy mayor.
Second that.
Motion has been made and seconded that we refer to item 4, C4. Any further questions before, any further comments before?
I will say that I will not be supporting this because for, I guess, the actions that happened and our board recommendations for oral admonishment, I think that is absolutely gone way too far.
Okay, any other comments? All right, the motion has been made and seconded that we a motion to in effect remove Deputy Mayor Kidd from the office of Deputy Mayor. All those in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, Senator?
No.
No.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for censure based on recommendations from our ethics committee.
I require a second on this. I do not hear a second. This motion fails for the lack of a second.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to reprimand Deputy Mayor Kidd.
I have a second for us to proceed. I do not hear a second. I think we are essentially back to where we were 30 days ago.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for admonition. of Deputy Mayor Kidd.
And I'll second that. So we're back to having an enlargement, and so I'm hoping that this follows the board's recommendations. This is on I-10. Therefore, the board recommends that Deputy Mayor Kidd be orally admonished pursuant to provisions of PAMC 2.70 to 8.08. So this is really, like I said, after studying the case, after taking into account what happened, this is really what this committee has recommended. They've studied it, and it's something that, you know, we need to respect this ethics board that we put together with their knowledge, their background, to be, you know, because otherwise, why have an ethics committee? I mean, if we're not gonna pay attention to their recommendations, why have that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I find it interesting that during public comment tonight, we had a member of our audience, a city resident, actually look to see who sat on council and who supported this ethics conditions and rules that we've accepted. And now come to find out, we've enacted, gone through the motion, we have a recommendation, yet we have no action from either Mayor Downey or Councilmember Collins on this action. So I would ask that both of you reconsider your positions on this in honor of the folks, our volunteers that we asked to come forward. They've made this recommendation to us as we've asked them to do.
I would also add to the comments here before we proceed with the vote, that if we were to pass this motion, it would require us to prepare a verbal statement. And I would presume that would be required of us this evening, but that's not necessarily the case.
I would hope that we do it this evening. We really need to put this behind this council. We have dragged our feet on this, we have not made a decision, and I really hope, I sincerely hope, that we can work together and move forward on this.
Ditto. Second that.
Any other comments before I call for the question? Motion been made, seconded. And we provide a verbal, an admonition included as a verbal statement to that effect. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Show of hands.
Okay.
So it is, I think it passed.
No.
No, a tie, a 3-3 tie would not be a pass.
Sorry. My apologies. Well, I don't know if we made any progress today.
Well, I'd love to hear from the other city council members. I really think we need to hear that.
I'd be happy to make a comment. I did not attend the meetings of the ethics board, so I can't speak to what was said, how the record was created, or defended or found. I do believe they've made a recommendation. I think it's the city council's job to decide whether to follow that recommendation. My experience was I attended that meeting. I thought the people were out of order and were uncivil, and I think the mayor, deputy mayor, was trying to maintain order. I do agree that she would have better served the council by having a recess before she adjourned the meeting. And I previously have offered a motion to the effect that we indicate the council needs to follow more than an abrupt adjournment procedure, and that we agree as a council that people need to be given a chance to show respect and to calm down. And I would offer that motion again if the council would, second it.
Any further comments? Let's just move on. Dan first.
Well, we'll have to speak on a couple of things. I did speak on this extensively at the last meeting, so I don't intend to repeat all that. But I'm reminded of a number of years ago, I, along with, I believe it was more than 10 people, were appointed to an ad hoc committee by the school district. And we, as a group of local professionals, studied for a particular topic for, I'm pretty sure it was a couple of months. We put a lot of effort, a lot of research, and made a recommendation to the school board. And they chose to go the opposite direction and not take our recommendation. And I believe that everybody on the board, you know, I think we were all professional enough to realize that they had the right to do that. They sought our opinion, and we gave them our best recommendation, but it wasn't what they agreed to. And we're all still friends. And now I would look at the 3 members of this ethics committee, highly professional, very capable people. I know all 3 of them fairly well. I attended the meetings. I know they worked hard. And I also believe that they are professional enough and a long time in our community enough to realize that what they gave was their recommendation with no necessary expectation that we jump and do exactly what they asked. So with all the respect that I have for them personally and through the city, I think that they would also agree that there's nothing that says we have to take that recommendation. The other aspect is that I wasn't on the council when the ethics ordinance was put together. I don't really agree with the ethics ordinance the way it is. I think it's a flawed document. I continue to look forward to an opportunity for us to revamp it and make it more of a working document that really does accomplish what I think the original council members originally wanted it to accomplish. So for those reasons and the things that I mentioned at the last meeting, I'm still comfortable staying with my current position.
Michael?
The ethics committee, I believe, had 2 parts. First one was conclusion of law. The second one was a recommendation.